When suffering from anxiety, you want to believe that somewhere there's an overnight fix for your sensitized nervous system. You hope that if you just find one thing, whether it be the right diet, the perfect exercise, or the ideal supplement, then all these strange and bizarre symptoms will disappear. I know this because it's exactly what I wanted when I was suffering from anxiety. But unfortunately, that's not how recovery works. Recovery does take some time, on average between 3 and 6 months, where all of your symptoms have gone away. So in this episode, I want to talk about the 4 stages of overcoming a sensitized nervous system. My goal is to help you pinpoint exactly where you're at on the journey and understand what's next for you. This is going to give you clarity about the path ahead and what's required to fully overcome these symptoms so you can get back to living your life again. Let's begin. Welcome back to Fearless Anxiety. I'm your host, Peter Wessels. If you're new to this channel, I'm here to help you overcome the symptoms of anxiety. Whether you're dealing with panic attacks, waves of anxiety, derealization, head fog, or any other bizarre or scary symptom, I've had them all. Today, we're not going to talk about the steps you have to take to recover. That's a separate topic. But I have put the breakdown of the recovery process in the link below. It's called the 5-step cure to anxiety and panic attacks. It's a great starting point if you're still trying to wrap your head around what is happening and how to navigate it. Once you're familiar with those steps, these stages will help you understand the process on a deeper level. Okay, let's start with the first stage. This is where most people find themselves initially. They are trying to make all the symptoms go away. These symptoms, whether it's panic, dizziness, vision issues, or even that choking sensation, they all feel terrible. They all suck, and we grow increasingly afraid of experiencing them. So in this first stage, what you're doing is you're, number 1, fearful of the sensations. Number 2, you're fighting and resisting against the sensations. And number 3, you're focusing on these symptoms. In other words, you're endlessly thinking about them, you're Googling them, and you're analyzing them to try to determine what they're going to do next. So at this stage, you are consumed with the question, how do I make them stop? Now, I've been there. I went to countless doctors and specialists trying to find an answer. I was ultimately told that it was just anxiety, but nothing I was being recommended was helping me get any better. And on top of that, I was having trouble accepting that such bizarre and intense sensations could be caused by just anxiety. But finally, with enough research, I did accept that everything I was experiencing was because of my anxiety and an overactive nervous system. I also understood that my constant attempts to resist and fight against my symptoms were actually keeping me stuck with anxiety. Now, this realization is key because it's what moves you into the next stage of recovery. In the second stage, you begin to understand that you have to stop fighting and resisting and instead surrendering to your anxiety. Again, surrendering just means you stop fighting against the sensations of anxiety. It's like saying, these symptoms are uncomfortable, but they're not dangerous. And so I'm just going to allow them to be present. Now, especially initially, this does take some courage. You've feared anxiety for so long now that it's scary to allow anxiety in and just let it be present with you. But here's how it looks. Let's imagine that you're waiting in line to return an Amazon package at UPS, and you start to feel this wave of anxiety start to build up. Now, instead of tensing up and becoming afraid, you instead surrender by telling yourself, I surrender to these harmless sensations. So you allow the sensations in without trying to fight them or even run away from them. And as you do, you just continue to wait in line at UPS until it's your turn at the counter. When you do this, you're going to start to notice something remarkable. The symptoms come, but they don't last forever. They eventually pass. And with each experience like this, your nervous system begins to learn and your brain begins to learn that these sensations aren't threats and they're not dangerous. But here's where many people get stuck. They start to use surrendering as an action step to try to get the symptoms to go away. And this leads to the third stage. By this point, you've noticed that surrendering works. And so you develop this expectation. You think, if I surrender, the symptoms will disappear. But when you try this, the symptoms linger or even come back stronger. This is because your surrendering isn't genuine. It's conditional. You're attempting to make the sensations go away, and that's not how surrendering works. True surrendering means letting the symptoms be there without any agenda or expectation. So you're completely fine with the symptoms hanging around for as long as you want. And the reason you're fine with it is because you know that these symptoms, although uncomfortable, aren't actually dangerous or harmful. When this happens, you reach the fourth stage. And it's in this stage where things really start to shift dramatically. What you're going to notice is that you lose your fear of the symptoms, and so they stop bothering you. You still notice them from time to time, but they don't dictate your day. In other words, your focus shifts away from your symptoms and towards just living your life. You start pursuing your goals and relationships and hobbies without worrying about whether the symptoms will show up. So the symptoms may tag along for a while, but they don't actually hold any power over you. Then one day the symptoms go away for good. You never experience any of these intense sensations again, and you simply go back to living your life. All right, so those are the 4 stages of recovery. If you found this episode helpful, do me a big favor and hit the like and subscribe button below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.